Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I will be reviewing Love After Lockup Season 3, Episode 38. So go ahead and grab your drink and whatever else it is that you do, and let's get right into this review, okay? So the episode opens up with Stan and Lisa, and Stan is waiting outside the correction facility, and finally Lisa comes out and she has a mask on her face, and I'll be honest, I thought it was a man because the mask sort of looked like a beard, and I was confused. I was confused at first. And then as she walks closer to Stan and we get to see a better view of her, I know that Lisa said that she got her hair ripped out during a fight, but in my humble opinion, this looks like she got this as a haircut or a style. She went short on the sides and long on the top. That is a hairstyle. I'm convinced that she was in there having relationships with women, because when they're being interviewed, Lisa says that she's glad to no longer be around 2,000 women. She loves them, but she's ready to go. She loves them. And I wonder if Stan caught that too. But anyways, they head to the car and they're having a little banter. Lisa said that she needs to send a picture to her brother because he's probably never seen her like that before. And Stan said that he needs love. And is it just me, or did it seem like she wasn't interested in being up underneath him at all? Because when they first saw each other outside, she didn't really want to kiss him. She kept the mask on at first and then she took it off. And I'm wondering if before she got sentenced and she was spending time with Stan, if she was under the influence or something, because it seems like she has no interest in him right now. Or, and I mean no harm when I say this, but was she maybe paid to spend time with him, like an escort, and she just kept contact with him when she went to jail because she knew that he'd have money and he'd give her a place to stay? I don't know. So Stan shows her the wigs and she's not feeling it at all, and they're on their way back home, and Lisa just laughs and she says that she thought Stan would have liked the stud look, and that tells us a little bit of what's going on in their relationship, the dynamic, I guess. And so they're talking about what they're going to do sexually, and they're talking about a straitjacket, toys, and I'm a little uncomfortable. I don't care to know all that. And then Stan says, look what you're doing to me. And I threw up a little. Gross. Absolutely disgusting. And so next we have Brittany and Ray. And so last week we saw Ray exit the van, and then he got back in and he was driven away. And Brittany and Ray's family is confused because they thought that he was getting released. So Ray's grandma calls someone at the facility and asks them where Ray is going, and we find out that they were not supposed to be there to pick him up. He was supposed to leave from there on a bus. So they're taking him back to the facility, and the lady on the phone said she doesn't know if they can pick him up from the place either. Like, she just had no information. And so Brittany says that she thinks that they should follow the van that Ray is, and that's just what they do. And so they pull up to the facility and they're able to pick him up. So that was such a great break they got there. So I'm glad nothing went wrong. And Brittany and Ray are having a moment to themselves. And I like how Ray's dad said that they need to let them have a moment. And I think he knew his mom, Ray's grandmother, wanted to give him some love because her hand was on the handle to get out of the car. So we see Ray in his confessional, and we learn a little bit more about him. His parents split up when he was 2, and he lived with his mom. And when he was about 11, his mom was found shot to death in a van, and they still don't know who did it or why. And that kind of just, I guess, gave him a little bit of rage. And he ended up going to jail for burglary. And he'd break into pharmacies and steal pills and sell them to people. And anything that he wouldn't sell, he would take himself. So that's a little bit of Ray's backstory. But anyways, they get him in the car and they're headed to the halfway house. And let me just say this. I like their family dynamic. I like that although it's his stepmom, she treats him as hers. I thought it was cute when she was saying how she's kissing my baby. And you can tell that they really support him and love him. And even though Brittany may feel like his grandma is a little bit much, I don't think his grandma means any harm. I think that probably after his mother died, his grandmother just became that person that he was able to confide in and be vulnerable with. Because that's usually how a child and mother relationship goes. Your mother is usually the person that you can open up to. So I think Brittany has to think about that a little bit too. So then we go on to Rachel and Doug, and Doug is fresh out and they're headed to a hotel to do what everybody does when they first get out of jail. And I'll be honest, it was very much so uncomfortable for me, and I don't really know what to say, but they were just all over each other. Yeah, and they show them in the hotel room, and they do what everybody does. They kick out the cameras and do what they do. So that's about it. All right, so we have Anissa and Jeff. And Anissa, well, no, I don't think it's Anissa. I think it's Anissa. Anissa is with her cousin Penny, and they're going wedding dress shopping. And we learn that Anissa is a cougar, self-proclaimed. Her previous husband was 10 years younger than her. He was 19 and she was 29 when they got married. And they're now divorced, and they're divorced because she got bored. She tends to like a man that has a little bit of edge to him. She likes what some women call a bad boy. That bad boy image. So she ended up going on a prison website, and she wrote to Jeff on Valentine's Day, and we find that Jeff went in for drugs and then he went back in for guns. So Jeff has been in and out of prison, and she liked him because he had a nice body and a bunch of tattoos. And you know what? I actually feel that whatever happens to Anissa is on her, because she went and actively sought this out. She intentionally got herself with what she wanted, a bad boy, for the thrill of it. So whatever outcome she has, she deserves it. She put herself in this situation. But anyways, they enter the bridal shop, and the retail lady, her name is Haley, she asks how they got engaged, and Anissa tells her he's in prison and he proposed over the phone. And you could tell that the girl was taken aback. Anissa tries on some dresses, and she finds one that she really likes. And Penny asks her what is she gonna do if he doesn't show this time. And Anissa's quiet for a little bit, and then Haley, and this is the sales associate again. She's like, hold up, are you saying that he's done this before? Were you guys supposed to get married and he didn't show up? And Anissa let her know that he's done this 2 times before. And Haley is like, girl, what makes you think that he won't do it again? And you know what? I'm here for Haley asking the questions that we all wanted to ask. And Anissa says that she's confident that he will show up this time, and I don't know. I don't think she should be so confident in him. And I feel like if he does show up this time, it will probably be because of the cameras. I don't think that if they weren't involved that he would show up. That's just my humble opinion. But anyways, yeah. Penny's suspicious about it as well, and she's actually not even convinced that he's real. So that makes me wonder, has Anissa created a boyfriend before and they weren't real? I don't know. Anyways, we have Nicole and Deontay. Nicole is having her mom dye her hair, and they finally have a chance to talk since her release. And her mom asks how she feels about her being married to a woman, and Nicole doesn't really care. She just is happy that her mom is happy. And then her mom asks her how she's feeling about Deontay, and Nicole says that she's comfortable around him, but she can't help thinking about other people, specifically her ex Zach. And she explains that she needs closure with Zach because they didn't really end. She just kind of got locked up, and so I guess that meant that they're over, but they never really officially broke up. And Nicole's mom tells her that she needs to be honest with Deontay, and Nicole had the nerve to say that her plan is to have Deontay take care of her for a little bit, and then she'll figure out what she wants to do. And I feel like that's very telling of what she's probably about to do. And so then we have Deontay, and he's on his way to Nicole, and he gets to meet her mom, and Deontay is telling her about the relationship and lets her know that they're engaged. And I wonder if Nicole knew that they were engaged. I don't think she did. And Deontay says that he's very passionate about the women that he's with and the women that he loves. And her mom caught on to that, and she was like, women, what are you talking about? Are you talking to other women too? And Deontay proceeds to tell her that he has something that prevents him from being with other women. And this is because he bought himself a sex toy. And he named the toy Nicole Jr. And rightfully so. Her mom tells him that that's kind of weird. That it's just very, very strange that he has that, and that's the name of it. And I have no clue what would possess him to tell her this information. What would make you think that it's okay to tell your fiance, allegedly, your fiance's mom, that you have a sex toy that you named Nicole Jr.? That's the definition of too much information. Like, who does that? So her mom gets up and she goes and she talks to Nicole, and she's like, well, you didn't tell me that you were engaged. And Nicole says that they're not engaged, and Nicole proceeds to explain that she asked Deontay to bring her a cheap ring because she thought it would be cool to have something that the other inmates didn't have, and Deontay took it the wrong way. So Nicole goes straight to Deontay and asks him why did he tell her mother that they're engaged, and he's like, well, aren't we? And he says that when I gave you the ring, I said that you might as well marry me, and you said yes, so I guess that means we're engaged now. And Nicole says that she told him that she wants somebody to get down on one knee, and she wanted to have a ring that she actually really wanted, not some cheap ring. And Deontay says that he guesses that he knows that now. And in the confessional, Nicole says that she really thinks that they need to get to know each other before they take that next step into the relationship. They've never been together in the outside world, the free world. And so who's to say if they can really get along? Who's to say if they're actually compatible? And I actually agree with her on that. But I also felt bad for Deontay because he looked so embarrassed on national TV. And I have no idea what he was thinking, though. Like, what would possess you to think that that was a proposal? But whatever, go off. So then we go back to Rachel and Doug, and they're leaving the hotel, and they enjoyed their stay, and everything was good between them. The chemistry was there. We all know what that means. So they're headed home, and when Doug gets to the house, he's in awe of the house, and he says it's the nicest home that he's ever been in. And we also find out that Doug has never had a serious relationship before, and that he used to juggle women, but he feels like Rachel is the one for him. And he also says that he realizes that he missed a lot of his son's childhood, and that he wants to make up for that. So as he's getting settled into the house, he's laying in the bed in the bedroom, and Rachel goes and makes him a bologna sandwich. And when she's gone, he's telling the cameras that he'd be a fool to leave Rachel. He's never lived like this before, and she takes good care of Dougie. And if he messes it up, he'll be back in Kalamazoo picking through junk on Saturday to have gas money on Sunday. And I'm not too sure how I feel about that little moment. On one hand, it may sound like he wants to use her, but then again, it's too early to tell. But I wasn't too comfortable with that. So then we have Anissa and Jeff, and Anissa's preparing to go get Jeff out of jail, and her friend Kyle is there too, and they're just talking about him getting out. And he tells her that he thinks it's crazy that he's never called when he's around, and he's wondering if he's a real person. And like I said before, it makes me wonder, has Anissa done this before? And Anissa said that she has something to show Kyle, and she shows him the wedding dress. And Kyle thinks that she's lost her mind. And I have to agree with him. What would, after being stood up 2 times, what would make you go buy a wedding dress? And he flat out tells her that he thinks it's one of the dumbest things that she's ever done. But Anissa's so dedicated to being dumb that she doesn't see what everybody else sees. And also, It's crazy that she's been waiting for him for 11 years. 11 years. And he's been out twice and he didn't come to see you. That would be enough for me. You mean to tell me 2 times you got out and you didn't even think to come see me? Well, you probably thought to come see me, but you decided it wasn't that big of a deal. I hope she's not putting so much money in his books or giving him so much, because that's a hot mess for real. So then we go back to Brittany and Ray, and they're running a little bit late getting him to the halfway house. So he calls his parole officer, I'm guessing, and he's letting them know that there was a mix-up during his pickup. And luckily he was able to make it on time. And I'll be honest, I think that him and Brittany, their relationship is real. You could tell by the way that he was looking at her when he got in the car, and then just how, when they were about to part ways, how he was with her. I think the interactions are genuine, and I hope they are. I'm rooting for her, but something tells me that things may go left, but we'll see. So then finally we have Stan and Lisa, and Stan is being super awkward during the car ride, and you can tell that Lisa doesn't really want to touch him. She keeps bringing up the straitjacket, and that makes me think that all they have is a sexual connection. Because she really does not want him touching her, and he's very, very much so affectionate. And so as they're driving along, she finally reaches in the back seat and puts on one of the wigs and asks him if he'd ever let her dress him up, because, you know, she likes women. And again, I feel like that's very telling of the relationships with the relationship. And and it seems just to be super physical, and I'm wondering if it's only physical after some alcohol and some other substances, you know, something that alters your mind and makes it so that you'll do whatever, because Lisa is not feeling it at all. And we also find out that Lisa said that she thought she'd never be in a relationship with a man again. And she's had some bad situations in just the past. Like, her first husband ended up overdosing. And then her second husband, she doesn't even want to talk about. She says she's never been divorced from her first husband. Lisa's got a lot of stuff going on. She's got a lot of stuff going on, I'll say that. But anyways, Lisa puts on the wig, and it is awful. It is dreadful. It is not the business. And Stan has the nerve to lie and say that she looks beautiful. I don't know why he said that. He should have just kept driving. But anyways, her son calls, and he's upset, which makes her go straight into mom mode. And hearing her son cry because he's depressed, it changed her mood. And Stan says that she needs to break away from her problems, and it's time for her to live her best life. And it seems that Stan is upset because she has children who is going through something. And I feel like that's a red flag. And I feel like the thing about having children is you brought them into this world, and you wanted to have them. So it's up to you to be there when something is wrong or they need you. The job doesn't end when they're 18. It's a never-ending job. You are always going to be their parent because you wanted to bring them in this world. They don't have a say in it. So I don't know. That just really, really irritated me. And I wonder what Stan would say if that was one of his daughters that called him depressed and really going through a hard time. He has to be mindful that depression can lead to other things, and I would hate for him to feel so alone and isolated that he does the unthinkable and she no longer has her son. So I don't know. I feel like Stan needs to be a little bit more sensitive when it comes to that. But yeah, that's all I got for you. I'll be back for the next one. All right, later.